Any organisational life does better when it understands what it's about, what it's trying to achieve, which is all these things are seeking to communicate. Values for us, though, as church is not just a means to an end. It is, in a sense, the end we're after. Reshaping the values of people is what we're in the business of doing. And so, yeah, getting clear on them, being clear on them is important. And churches have kind of more and more expressed in formal ways what their values are. But they tend, another little thing that's different actually between corporate and church. In a corporate setting, there's a lot of talk about making sure they're snappy, making sure you've only got half a dozen or so that they're memorable, communicatable, you can get them out to people. In a church setting, when my main business is communicating values, I don't think we need to be ruled by those rules. Short, snappy, only 6. So at EV, we have 9, 10, and we've tried to make them, 2 or 3 words in each of them. But because I'm teaching to them all the time, and it's who we are, it's the outcomes we're after, I don't mind having a larger sense of these values because it actually communicates another value we have, which is richness to our Christian thinking, not just short, snappy, superficial. And there's one of our values actually, is substance. So one of our value statements is substance. We do care about look and feel and vibe, but one of our values is to say that what matters most to us is that people capture the substance of what it is to walk with Christ and not just look like they do. And church wants to be a place that's more concerned about the substance of love, support, care, change, and not just a church that is shiny and looks good. So we care more about substance than style. There's one of the particular values we have. And that shapes all kinds of things in church life for us. And it's important to have clarity in that amongst all our various leaders as they think about how to culturally engage, how to do vibe and look and feel, that we don't want that tail to wag the dog. The dog is substance without disregarding the other. And so to talk that through as a leadership team has been important for us. Yeah. One of the big ones, one of the first ones for us is that the unseen reality shapes us. So unseen over seen is a kind of a pithy way we've expressed this value. And it's seeking to convey the sense that the real driver for me, for us as a church, is that the things of spiritual weight and significance matter massively in the way we think about our lives. And so, set your heart on the things above, not on earthly things. All of this kind of eschatological thinking that the New Testament is riddled with. Jesus, who keeps speaking to the realities of heaven and hell, the unseen realities, shape his decisions, shape his priorities. And so we've actually articulated that as a value, that one of the ways that we think about church is to be shaped by the unseen and to keep that forefront for us. Now you can see how that's important to articulate, because as we raise up leaders, we want them to buy into that value and live and breathe that value. Not just to get a job done, as corporate, but actually because that is the job. The job is to be captured by the things of Christ, who is in heaven, seated at the right hand of the Father. So that value for us is actually an outcome we're after as well. Deep and wide is one of our other values. We're not going to be a kind of one-horse pony church. We want to see depth of life change, but we also care about the breadth of impact. So we want to see more and more people touched and more people deepened. So for us, we work hard at maintaining those 2 priorities, and that's one of our values, is to be committed to the 2 values.
So it's not just evangelism, it's also discipleship. You're trying to work them side by side. Yeah,
and we've sought to articulate that because inadvertently churches do tend to choose one or the other. They become the church that just cares about the truth and having people faithful to the truth, whatever the growth dynamic. You end up people sort of defaulting to that, or you get that kind of seeker service mentality where we just want to reach as many as possible. and maturity is an afterthought. But we've articulated a determination to keep both values deeply strong in what we do. And that shapes our discussions about resourcing. Do you see? You can see these things flow down. They're not just kind of comments on a wall that we tick a box about. They shape our resource decisions. They shape our time priorities, how we give people to things. Heart. So one of our other values is love from the heart. That we want.
Definitely going to have to explain that, because it could just be mushy. So
yeah,
what are we talking about
certainly. As a church, we want to be a place that that doesn't just put on the dynamic of doing good things, but actually seeks to work on the genuine heart change in people's lives, where we love one another from the heart. That there's a genuine, therefore, not just language of grace and goodwill, but actually is a deep and genuine affection for one another. We will call each other on whether we're just going through the motions of being polite. We'll look for ways of seeing whether the language we're using is simply a technique. And my conviction, I dare say, anyone who's thought about these things, it's not unique to me. My conviction is that the more you get your heart of love right, the language, the responses, the instinctive reactions flow. And so to work at that substance level, love from the heart, shapes how our staff relate together, how our leadership seeks to relate together. It shapes so much of what we do. Another one we have is responsibility. So one of the big values we operate with is that we take responsibility for outcomes. And this is something I talk often about, but one of the dangers in church life is we drift into hyper-Calvinism, where we do our bit, God will produce the outcomes. But one of the values we operate amongst all of us is that we set ourselves to achieve an outcome, and leadership is held responsible for outcomes. Now, of course, there are circumstances that change your ability to be held tightly to that, but it's a value that we have. We care about taking responsibility, owning things if they don't go well, being able to give thanks to God if they do go well, but owning responsibility is one big value for us. Deepest needs over felt needs is a value for us. We're convinced that lots of people want churches to meet their felt needs. And it's easy as church to be drawn into giving people what they want, being consumer driven. So that, I want a church that does this for me. Now, what we've sought to articulate together is what we care about is actually deepest need, the truest need, without disregarding some of the felt needs always. But there will be times, sometimes where deepest need and pursuing it means we will say no to felt need. So Jesus does this in Mark chapter 1. And what this value articulates for us is a determination to keep prioritising what the Bible prioritises, which is the need for sinners to be forgiven and restored into relationship with God.